She thought divorce had taken everything from her, but God was about to prove that her story was not over. The kitchen light hummed a low, electric buzz. It was the only sound in the entire house. Maya sat at a small wooden table, her fingers tracing the edge of an unpaid electric bill. The paper was thin and cheap. It felt like evidence of her failure. A half-packed suitcase leaned against the wall near the back door. She had not finished packing it. She could not bring herself to believe she was really leaving. The house was empty. Her husband of 18 years had moved out 3 weeks ago. He had taken the good furniture, the television, and the sense of safety she had wrapped her entire identity around. She was 41 years old. She had a degree in elementary education that she had not used in over a decade. She had a savings account with exactly $214 in it. And she had a heart that felt like it had been pulled out of her chest and left on the pavement. Her phone buzzed on the table. It was a text message from her ex-husband. It read, "I hope you understand this is what's best for both of us. I'll send the final papers next week." Maya did not pick up the phone. She stared at the words until they blurred. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. But no sound came out. She was too tired. Too ashamed. Too broken to even make a noise. She closed her eyes. She did not pray out loud. She did not have the strength for words. But in the silence of that empty kitchen, with the bills in front of her and the suitcase waiting for her, she whispered one single thought into the darkness. "God, if you can still see me, please let me know I am not invisible." She opened her eyes. The kitchen was still quiet. The bills were still there. But something in the air had shifted. She did not know it yet, but someone had heard her. Before the divorce, Maya had been a woman of simple, steady faith. She was not loud about it. She did not preach on street corners or post Bible verses on social media. Her faith lived in the small things. She prayed over her morning coffee. She thanked God for the smell of rain on dry grass. She believed that God saw her even when no one else did. She met David at a church picnic when she was 23 years old. He was tall, confident, and he made her laugh. He told her she had kind eyes. She believed him. They married 2 years later in a small ceremony with white flowers and a borrowed veil. She remembered the way the sunlight had fallen through the stained glass window that day. She had felt so certain that God had placed David in her life. For 18 years, she tried to be a good wife. She cooked his favorite meals. She kept the house clean. She supported his career even when it meant moving to a city where she knew no one. She prayed for him every single night. She believed that if she loved him hard enough, if she served him faithfully enough, their marriage would survive anything. But she did not know that David had been drifting away for years. She did not know that he had been having conversations with another woman for 6 months before he finally told Maya he wanted a divorce. When he sat her down at the kitchen table and said the words, she felt the floor disappear beneath her feet. "I just don't love you the same way anymore," he said, calmly, as if he were ordering takeout. Maya did not scream. She did not cry. She simply nodded. She did not know how to fight for a man who had already decided she was not worth keeping. That night, she knelt beside her bed. She pressed her forehead to the carpet and she prayed. "Lord, I do not understand. But I trust you. I trust you even when it hurts." She did not know that the hardest part was still coming. She did not know that the worst was not the divorce itself. It was what came after. It was the silence. It was the empty house. It was the slow, creeping realization that she had given everything to a man who had never really seen her at all. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday afternoon in a gray courthouse that smelled like floor wax and stale coffee. Maya sat on a hard wooden bench while a judge read the terms of the settlement. She heard the words but they did not feel real. The house would be sold. The proceeds would be split. She would keep her car, a 10-year-old sedan with a cracked windshield and a check engine light that never turned off. She walked out of the courthouse and sat in that car for 45 minutes. She did not drive anywhere. She just sat there with her hands on the steering wheel, staring at the dashboard. She had no job. No savings. No plan. She had a degree she had not used in over a decade and a resume with an 18-year gap labeled homemaker. She applied for jobs everywhere. Retail stores. Coffee shops. A call center that promised flexible hours. She sent out 37 applications in 2 weeks. She received 2 responses. One was a rejection. The other was an interview at a small dental office for a receptionist position that paid $12 an hour. She went to the interview wearing her best blazer, the one she had bought for David's company Christmas party 6 years ago. The office manager was a woman named Patricia. She had sharp eyes and a flat tone of voice. She asked Maya why she had been out of the workforce for so long. Maya explained that she had been a stay-at-home wife. She had managed the household, the finances, the schedule. Patricia looked at her with something that felt like pity. "So you have no recent professional experience," Patricia said. It was not a question. Maya swallowed. "I'm a fast learner. I'm reliable. I just need a chance." Patricia nodded slowly. She told Maya they would call her. They never did. That night, Maya sat on the floor of her empty living room. She had sold most of her furniture to pay her first month's rent on a small studio apartment. The room was bare except for a mattress, a lamp, and a single cardboard box. Inside that box, buried under old towels, was something she had not touched since her wedding day. A small, hand-painted ceramic jar that her grandmother had given her. It was meant to hold loose change and prayer requests. Maya had never put a single coin in it. But now, for reasons she could not explain, she pulled it out and set it on the windowsill. She did not know why. She did not know what it meant. She only knew that something in her heart told her to keep it close. The studio apartment was small and cold. The walls were thin. Maya could hear her neighbor's television through the drywall every night. She slept on a thin mattress on the floor. She ate canned soup for dinner because it was cheap. She had stopped checking her bank account because the number scared her. But every morning, before she did anything else, she looked at the small ceramic jar on her windowsill. She did not know why she kept it there. It was just a jar. But something about it made her feel like she was not completely alone. One Thursday morning, she received an email that changed the direction of her week. It was from a woman named Rachel, a former college classmate Maya had not spoken to in over 15 years. Rachel had heard through mutual friends that Maya had gone through a divorce. She was not writing to offer sympathy. She was writing to offer work. "I run a small tutoring center for children who are falling behind in reading," Rachel wrote. "I need someone patient, kind, and experienced with kids. I remember how you used to help me study for our education exams. You always had a gift for explaining things. The pay is not much, but it is honest. And I think you would be good at it." Maya read the email 3 times. She cried. She called Rachel the same afternoon and accepted the position. It was only part-time. It paid barely enough to cover her rent and groceries. But it was something. It was a door that had opened when she had no strength left to knock. Her first day at the tutoring center was a Tuesday. She worked with a little boy named Elijah who was 7 years old and could not read past a first-grade level. He was shy. He kept his head down. He told Maya that he was stupid. Maya knelt beside his chair. She looked him in the eyes. "You are not stupid," she said. "You just have not learned it the right way yet. And I am going to help you." Elijah looked at her. For a moment, he did not say anything. Then he smiled. It was a small, crooked smile. But it was real. That night, Maya sat on her mattress in her empty apartment. She held the ceramic jar in her hands. She prayed out loud for the first time in weeks. Lord, I do not know how I am going to make it. But I saw a little boy smile today. And I felt like I mattered. So thank you. Thank you for not forgetting me. She set the jar back on the windowsill. She did not know it yet, but God was not done with her story. He was just beginning to turn the page. Maya had been working at the tutoring center for 3 weeks when she saw David for the first time since the divorce. She was standing at the counter of a small grocery store, counting out change to buy a loaf of bread and a carton of eggs. She heard his voice before she saw his face. Maya. She turned. He stood behind her in line. He looked the same. Same confident posture. Same easy smile. But standing next to him was a woman Maya did not recognize. She was younger. She had long blonde hair and manicured nails. She held a designer handbag that probably cost more than Maya's entire monthly budget. David's eyes scanned Maya from head to toe. He looked at her worn coat. He looked at the loose change in her hand. He looked at the single loaf of bread and the eggs. And then he smiled in a way that made Maya's stomach turn. I heard you got a job, he said. Good for you. The woman beside him tilted her head. Is this her? She asked David, as if Maya were not standing right there. David did not answer. He just kept looking at Maya with that same pitying smile. You look tired, he said. You should take care of yourself. Maya felt heat rise to her face. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to become invisible. The cashier waited. The line behind them grew. And David stood there, enjoying every second of her humiliation. Maya paid for her bread and eggs. Her hands were shaking. She did not look at David again. She walked out of the store with her head down and her eyes burning with unshed tears. She made it to her car before the tears came. She sat in the driver's seat and she sobbed. She sobbed until her chest ached and her throat was raw. She felt small. She felt worthless. She felt like David had been right all along. She was nothing. She did not notice the woman who had been standing near the store entrance. She did not see her watching through the glass door. The woman was middle-aged, with kind eyes and a simple gray coat. She had seen everything. She had seen the way David spoke to Maya. She had seen the way Maya's shoulders had fallen. And she had made a note of Maya's face. She did not say a word. She simply pulled out her phone and typed something into her notes app. Maya drove home in silence. She did not know that a silent witness had just entered her story. She did not know that God was already moving. 3 days after the grocery store encounter, Maya arrived at the tutoring center to find a woman waiting for her at the front desk. It was the same woman from the store. The one with kind eyes and a gray coat. She stood up when Maya walked in. My name is Eleanor, she said. I saw what happened at the market. I saw the way that man spoke to you. And I could not stop thinking about you. Maya did not know what to say. She stood frozen, holding her bag. Eleanor continued. I am a retired family law attorney. I have been practicing for 35 years. And I have seen 100 women just like you. Women who were told they were worthless. Women who signed papers they did not fully understand. Women who walked away with nothing because they were too broken to fight. She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. It was simple. Just her name and a phone number. I looked into your case, Eleanor said. Your ex-husband hid assets during the divorce. He transferred money out of joint accounts 6 months before he filed. He undervalued the house. He lied on his financial disclosure. And I can prove it. Maya felt her knees go weak. She grabbed the edge of the desk. I do not have money to pay a lawyer, Maya whispered. Eleanor smiled. I am not asking you to pay me. I am retired. I do not need the money. But I need you to know that God does not forget his daughters. And he does not let injustice stand forever. That evening, Maya sat in her apartment. She held the ceramic jar in her hands. For the first time in months, she did not feel invisible. She felt seen. She felt known. She felt like someone had been watching over her all along. She opened the jar. Inside, she found a single folded piece of paper. It was a prayer request her grandmother had written years ago. The ink was faded. But the words were still clear. Asterisk, Lord, watch over my granddaughter. When she feels forgotten, remind her that you never lose sight of the ones you love. Asterisk. Maya pressed the paper to her chest. She cried. But this time, they were not tears of shame. They were tears of gratitude. She had been left with nothing. But God had been building something she could not see. And now, the walls were beginning to fall.